What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV. Back with another live stream, and the weather's nice. There's no Arsenal midweek game to ruin our week, so we're here. Me and Dan Potts today. What's happening, bro?
I'm good. I'm warm. You can probably see. I've come back from the gym and I'm like,
Yeah,
why did I go to the gym when it's like 26 degrees outside? But sometimes you just got to do it, ain't you? And I'm trying to get my fitness back in, man, lose a bit of weight for the summer. And I'm like, do you know what? I shouldn't have bothered. It's so hot. So now I'm going to take 4 hours to try and cool down in here upstairs. It's absolutely baking up here. So, yeah. But apart from that, man, I'm all good. I'm trying to take my mind a little bit off of Arsenal when I can in the kind of meantime. But yeah, what a disappointment it's been, bro. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, man, and big up to you, man. I saw that you hit 40K as well, which is brilliant. So keep going. 50K
Thanks, man.
next, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, that's a big milestone. I didn't expect to get this soon, so I really appreciate your love for that, man. And thanks to you as well for supporting the channel every week as well, like you do. So big up to you, man.
No worries, bro. No worries. We got quite a lot to talk about. The new kit's coming out this week, people. I can see the excitement. A new kit, a new home kit. Yeah. But we'll talk about the Liverpool game first of all. In fact, have we done a show since PSG? Did one? No, we didn't,
No,
did we?
because we couldn't last week. Yeah, we were struggling to get a time because it was so busy because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been PSG and Liverpool since the last time we've spoken. Yeah.
Wow. So in fact, let's go back just briefly. I know people won't want to talk about it too much, but the PSG game, I don't think we played that bad, but it just wasn't enough, was it? And what kind of frustrated me with that game is I just don't feel like we threw the kitchen sink at PSG. I would have rather almost conceded a goal doing everything to try and score a goal, where I almost felt like it, he's taken off Martinelli for Trossard, it's Ben White for Timber, it's just like for like again. What was your thoughts on that game, just briefly?
So for the first 10, 15, I thought we were good, which has been quite a reoccurring thing of late. We've been quite good at starting games. However, we weren't able to get it across the line at any
Yeah.
point. I thought there was a good opportunity for Rice with a header. Martinelli had a shot which kind of went straight at Donnarumma. And then there's the Martin Odegaard shot, which is about all he did all game, which was a world-class save from Donnarumma. I've got to say it was a world-class. To get down, I don't know how he does it with his 6'7" or whatever he is. Outstanding that was. And then I think we just learned pretty much the hard way that when you aren't clinical, you can get caught and get hurt. And Kvaratskhelia hit the post, and I thought they're going to easily get in here because we're not looking too bright in midfield. I thought the midfield were probably the trio that disappointed me most, if I'm honest with you. Rice gives away a stupid foul and they score from it. I know it was deflected. I thought Partey was pretty much poor all night, giving the ball away for the second goal, and Odegaard just was invisible again. And I was surprised it lasted that long again. I don't know what Ethan Nwaneri's done. I really don't. I don't know what he's done wrong, but it seems that he don't fancy him now. There's a lot of suggestions that he's not 100% fit and that he's still trying to get better off the ball. In Mikel Arteta's eyes, there's also some rumours come out about him having some disciplinary problems, but I don't know how true that is. Like, I was kind of told that, but I've also been told it's rubbish as well. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what to believe, to be honest. I think that's what happens, though, right? Lots of rumours start when people don't see the players they expect to see. Like, we try to put our finger on why Ethan's not getting game time. Maybe it is that he's not 100% yet. So I was frustrated that we didn't see much change, Curtis. That's what annoyed me. It wasn't even the fact that we didn't just see Ethan. Now, Ethan's my guy. I love him. I absolutely love Ethan Nwaneri. I think he's going to be incredible. Like, I've got so much love and time for him, man. I just love everything about Ethan, man. He's just such a cool guy and such a legend, right? But I look at it now and I think he didn't change anything, Mikel. That's what frustrated me and other fans. We didn't try and see, anything different with any of the formation change, like for like. You're trying to win a game, you're bringing on two fullbacks. So like for like with Trossard for Martinelli. As much as I thought Trossard played better than Martinelli when he came on, it still wasn't enough to see things change. People say, what could you have done? Well, you could have brought on Kieran Tierney and give a little bit of an overlapping crosses to Marino's head. You could have actually tried and brought somebody into midfield, whether it's Zinchenko or Lewis Skelly, to get on the ball. albeit
Yeah.
Lewis Skelly weren't great at the night. I didn't think he had a good game at all. I thought the occasion got to him, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But that's fair enough because he's 18. I think sometimes we forget we're not going to see these consistent performances at 18 years old. Zinchenko could have come into midfield and given us some legs. I saw nothing, bruv. And I'm not saying that these are great changes, by the way. I'm not saying
Yeah.
we're blessed with all these amazing subs that we could have brought on. Like we ain't going to bring on Raheem Sterling, but he's your guy. Excuse me, he's your guy. We're not going to bring on Zinchenko, but isn't he your guy? You're bringing on
Yeah.
two fullbacks to win a game when we need to score 2 goals, bruv. Yeah,
Yeah.
bringing on
Yeah.
2 fullbacks. So they were my thoughts on PSG. I also lastly wanted to mention, and I absolutely hate this, and I can't defend him, and I don't know how anyone can defend him at the moment. These comments he's making after interviews are actually really getting on my tits, bruv. They are seriously embarrassing. They're cringe. They're rude. They're arrogant. A very distasteful and dislikable person at the moment, Mikel Arteta is for like the neutral, right? All the Arsenal fans, I understand why they're backing him and defending him, but I'm struggling to, bro, because I look right now and I think you've made some horrendously bad quotes in the last few months. Since the turn of 2025, this guy has said, we've got a small squad, and has then complained that the small squad is small, even though he stated that it was a small squad by design. Then he stated that over my dead body are we going to lose this title, only to go and throw the league away, having 3 wins since he said it out of 11. Yeah. He said about 2 days before the PSG game that the reason Liverpool have won the title is because the last 2 years Arsenal didn't get more points than them. Well, it was game week 35. There's 3 games to go still, Mikel. They can easily get towards over and above 89 points, which is what we were on last season. And then he come out after PSG and said that we were the best team in the competition. Well, I understand this numbskull sometimes. We've just gone out of it. How can we be the best in the competition when we've just got out and lost? PSG and Inter Milan is the final. They're the 2 best teams in the competition. That's how it works. Yeah. So that was mad. And then, if I'm honest with you, I thought it was really hard to watch against Liverpool in that press conference and in that in that post-match interview with that lady who was clearly
rude,
asking, normal questions. They weren't horrible questions. She weren't trying to trip him up. She weren't trying to stick the knife in. She weren't trying to twist it and say, "Oh, you're crap." And he's getting really rattled. And basically, I felt like the interviews were switched round. It's like we were the better team and we didn't win the game. Actually, could have probably made sense to go for the Anfield result, not the PSG one. To get angry after Anfield, shouldn't you be angry that you're out the Champions League in the PSG? I thought his head was all over the place. And if I'm honest with you, bro, I'm starting to wonder if the pressure is perhaps getting to him a bit, or if he really is just realizations hitting that it's 5 years now and we hasn't won anything. Maybe he's human and he's just hurting finally, which I hope he is, because we all are hurting. Yeah, I hope he's embarrassed he had to go and give another guard of honour. The only 2 times I've seen Liverpool win the league, we've had to do a guard of honour for him. So I hope he's embarrassed. I hope it hurts. I hope that banner made him have fire in his belly, whereas you're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I hope that he has, the opportunity to go, right, I don't ever want a banner put like that up against me, about me again. So I don't know. There's a lot. I've kind of waffled on with a lot of that, really, but I just feel like it's linked and related to Mikel, because he's the one I'm looking at over the last weeks, and I'm disappointed in him again, mate.
Do you know what I'll say with Arteta? I think first of all, I think he is feeling the pressure, and I think that also you can hide behind PR for so long, but eventually it's going to catch up with you. And I think he's been in this situation for a number of years where it's like, oh, we're surprised that we're in this situation, so everyone's just going to support everything that I'm doing. And Edu was like his human shield of protection as well. I think even the biggest of Arteta fans now is saying, well, he's got to win a trophy. And listen, one thing I will say about Arteta, and I've always given him credit for this, is I don't doubt that he cares about the club. I'm not a fan of him, but I do think he genuinely cares about the club and
100%.
wants to succeed. I've never ever said, he's not a caring manager. You can tell when he left Arsenal, he was in tears as a player. You can tell he's adopted Arsenal in his heart. I don't doubt that, but he's just got to understand now that we've we've changed. I think why Arsene Wenger wasn't successful in them latter years at Arsenal, he didn't change. He kind of was still talking like football was when he first turned up. He had a problem with money. He had a problem with agents, where that's how football was going. If you want a top player, you got to pay the agent a lot of money. I think Arteta now, he's got to adjust. This isn't Arsenal. We're happy to be in the top four. Oh my God, we're back in the Champions League. This is, Mikel, you've now got to win silverware, or even the biggest of Arteta fan is going to say it's too much. Even the media are starting to change a little bit now. The media, all these Gary Nevilles that were all capping for him, are saying, well, he's got to win something. It's been too long. This is Arsenal. You're one of the biggest clubs in Europe, third biggest club in England. And all these other clubs are going, right, I'm ready for a final. What are you ready for? Oh, okay, yeah, we're ready to go on holiday. So I think his quotes after the game, I think there's a lot of emotion in them. So I let him off a little bit, but he's also got to sometimes take responsibility. He kind of threw the team under the bus after the Liverpool game, which I think a manager can do that when a lot of the team aren't his players. But I think when you've bought that team and given that team new deals, to then say this team are not performing good enough, I think you've also got to look at yourself and go, are you performing good enough? We've got centre backs playing left back. We've got midfielders playing up front. We've got number sixes playing number 8. We're a bit of a mess in terms of the setup of the team. So listen, I said on yesterday's stream, I'm not going to spend all summer saying get rid of Arteta because I think it's wasted energy. I've done shows about it. Everybody knows my opinion. I would get rid of him this summer, but he's going nowhere. So now his thing has got to be, how do you solve this problem this summer? How do you get this team? And I think we're going to find out everything about Arteta next season. I think he will either win the title and get over the finish line, or I think it will be his last season at the club. I don't think there's any in between with him next season.
Look, it's funny. There's a comment in the chat. Is the negative show? I mean, one, why are you watching? And two, what are you expecting? I mean, let's be real. What is there to be massively positive about this season? Yeah. We're about to see one of our main rivals, one geographical rivals, and one our proper rivals over the last 2-3 decades, win a Europa League and potentially go and have a chance of winning a Super Cup. Yeah. We could potentially see Chelsea have to lift that pathetic Conference Cup. Newcastle have won a trophy. Liverpool have won the league. Manchester City or Crystal Palace are going to win a trophy. What is there to be excited about? I don't get what there's to be positive about. Well, at least we could come second again. Is that the positiveness? I don't know. For me, it's boring now. Let's be real. I don't know how people can be massively positive. Come on, let's do this. What are we doing? We're playing Newcastle and Southampton, and we can't wait for it to finish. Let's just be real. Anyway, sorry, I had to address that. As for Mikel, I'm with you. I would sack him. You know my thoughts. Me and you watch each other, know each other well, so we know where we're at. But I know he's going nowhere, bruv. I'll say this. I don't think he's got anywhere to hide after next season, though. I knew this season he'd probably get more time if he didn't win anything because of how people were feeling. I've got a different sense in the fan base now. I did a poll on my channel, and a lot of people on my channel were quite negative or toxic, or they want him out or whatever. But there was 75% that wanted him gone, and 25 wanted him to stay. That is a massive shift from when I did a poll not too long ago, to be honest, and it was more kind of 60-40 in keep him. So it's a massive shift. Now, I know things change and football fans are fickle and you lose to PSG and everyone just says get rid. But I was genuinely shocked by that because I really thought that it was going to be, again, sort of more towards 65 to 35 would be saying, yeah, come on, let's stick with him. He's been unlucky with injuries, give him more time. But there has been a kind of flip and flop in the fan base with it. So I think there's just genuine evidence now suggesting that, can he get us across the line? Is he the guy? Now, people have said in media outlets that he has to win something, and people have said he has to buy a striker. I don't think that can be any shock to anyone. If we can all see it, that we need better attack and we need to win a trophy, surely Mikel Arteta knows now that he's got to go and buy a striker. Because Gary Neville, as much as he talks a lot of waffle sometimes about Manchester United and he doesn't keep it consistent, he weren't half wrong when he said to spend 750 million and not get a striker is a disgrace. That is a disgrace. Because if you're looking at building a football club, and if I said to you, bruv, here's 750 million, the first four positions that I would buy would be a goalkeeper, a striker, because they're the two most important positions, a defender, and a midfielder. And then you've got your spine, right? We went and bought a defender and a midfielder in phase one, if you want to call it phases still, because everyone keeps calling it phases, in Partey and Gabriel, messed around with goalkeepers galore, haven't got a striker, and instead bought 15 left backs. That ain't a great start, is it? So I look now and think it's absolutely on Mikel Arteta, because the board, he hasn't been able to buy a striker yet. Are you really believing that the board and owners said, there's the money you need, 750. You better not buy a striker with it, though. Make sure you go and get all the other positions filled. They're not going to have said that, bruv. So he's going to have said, I want Havertz or Jesus as that false 9. I don't want a prolific number 9. That's how I'm going to play with my system. And it hasn't worked. So he's got to take the L. He has to. And he has to address it. And this style of play needs to be better next season. I need to see Arsenal playing good football. I need to see us scintillating. I need to see us not just blitzing teams every single game, but there have been times where we put 5s, 6s, 4s past them, like we have seen in the previous couple of years. It's been very rigid, very boring, unentertaining football this season. And, I said to, I think it was Troops or Turkish the other day, there's 4 reasons, or there's 4 traits that he has to shake off. Yeah. Now, you can look at these traits as negatively, but you can also look at them as positively and turning them into a positive. The first one is arrogance. He's a very arrogant man. Now, I appreciate people are arrogant. Thierry Henry was arrogant, but he could back it up. Messi and Ronaldo are arrogant, but they can back it up. Arteta's just arrogant at the moment, and he hasn't been able to back it up. He waltzes around the place like he's won the treble, but he hasn't won one trophy with us, other than the FA Cup, of course, right? With this group of players, he's won nothing. He needs to be aware of that and back his arrogance up. Stubbornness. Wenger was stubborn. There's nothing wrong with being stubborn, but you've got to make sure it works. So by not buying a striker, you have to have won something by now, and you have to be scoring goals and not having people say every season you need a striker. And then when you look at the fear that he has in games, it's a massive concern to me, Curtis. There's huge fear to lose games. Don't go too much. Don't go too gung-ho. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it a 0-0 here. Well, we've got to score 2 goals, Mikel. No, hang on. Whoa. We'll get there. Just let's bring a couple of defenders on. Stop being fearful. And then PTSD. He's got PTSD of the last couple of years, or definitely that first year we were 8 points clear. There's no way. He has changed as a person completely, tactically, and with his interviews and everything since that 8-point bottle job. There's no one that can tell me different. Last season, we were rigid. We weren't free-flowing until the back end of the season. This season, we've been rigid the whole year. It has been nothing but poor. We've put 5 goals past Palace now and again, and West Ham. I think we beat Sporting Lisbon by 5. And of course, there's the Man City one. Real Madrid was outstanding in 2 legs. But there's only been glimpses of that this season. It hasn't been periods of time. And just lastly, 2024 was an unbelievable year for us. We lost 1 game against Aston Villa. 2025, the turn of this year, I think we've won 3 games in the last 11. That is poor, bruv. We're out of everything. We've gone out of the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Champions League, and we threw the title away, all in the turn of 2025. He has to improve, mate. Otherwise, he's got to go, bruv.
Yeah, it's a huge summer for us. And listen, there's pros and cons. When you're in a title challenge and don't win it, it can spur you on for the next season. Go, okay, we're going to get it this time. Big up Saeed in the chat, man.
Yeah, love, bro.
But on the flip side, I think as a club, when you put everything into a season and finish second multiple times, I think it drains you as a player and as a club sometimes, because you walk away at the end of that season and go, we put so much effort into that. And I've walked away empty-handed. And I've got to watch all these other clubs go to finals, win trophies. When you go to international duty, you go, I didn't win anything again. And I think the way that you deal with that is you've then got to push the level up the next season. You've got to go, right, I brought in these 2 or 3 players. The level goes up again. And players aren't stupid. They know the level of players. And I think last summer, we got it all wrong. We got it all wrong with the recruitment. And I think Saka and those guys would have looked and gone, the responsibility is all on my shoulders again, because Mourinho ain't going to be a game changer. Neither is Calafiori, neither is Neto, neither is Raheem Sterling. So it's on the same players again to deliver. Saka's got injured, Havertz got injured, Saliba's had a drop of form since Gabriel's come out of the team, maybe Madrid's on his mind. So I think Arteta has not done a good job of taking some of the responsibility off our main players and going, okay, Bakayo, you are still quite a young player. I'm going to give you a 20-goal striker. We're going to give Odegaard a top quality striker and see if we can get the best out of him. We're going to get a better left winger. I mean, Unknown C said it yesterday, said if we'd bought Kvaratskhelia instead of PSG, we'd have probably beat them over two legs. Because to me,
and that
he was
a
their
market
best,
opportunity, man.
best player.
63 M's. 63 M's is a steal, bro.
63.
Especially when you're looking at the left wingers that are available now that we're linked with. You know, they're talking about Semenyo and Cunha being that price. Like, this is the best left winger in the world, in my opinion, right now. Maybe people will say Vinny or Mbappe overall in the last 5, but right now, as things stand, I do not see a better left winger in world football than Kvaratskhelia. He is absolutely quality, and he's versatile. He can play across the front three. Like, for me, it was an absolute no-brainer. Now, a lot of people will be shouting, saying, well, he was always going to PSG. He'd already agreed it. That's fine, and he may be the case. Would you not have liked to have seen the ambition, though, to say, look, I know you've pretty much gone PSG, and you might have already agreed it, but here's 63 million. Come talk to us as well, make your decision. That's what we should have done. It's so bad when we see that we did nothing at all. It's awful, awful.
Let me just address these two comments, right? Because I've seen these. So Don saying, Curtis, why is everything on Arteta? He wanted a striker in January and the club didn't get him one. People find it easy to blame Arteta all the time. Just from my point of view, I don't know what you think, Dan. My thing with Arteta is we know he wanted a striker in January, but why did he not want a striker last summer? Why did he not want a striker the summer before and the January before? He wanted a striker in January because Jesus was injured, Havertz was injured. He had no choice. Everybody wanted a striker. But January, in my opinion, was too late because that's a restricted market. We obviously didn't have the money, which is why we never signed Ollie Watkins for 60 million. If he'd have addressed that in the summer when the money was there, you don't need to panic buy in January. So that's my opinion on Arteta with the striker. I don't know what you think.
Facts. What's mad is people will say, well, of course he didn't want a striker in the summer. He had to in Havertz and Jesus. My problem with that is one of them was bought as a midfielder that we know is not a prolific number 9. And the other one has had his best days at Manchester City and has had about 4 knee operations. So if you're going to really lay your hat on those 2 to get you across the line in all 4 competitions, you are clearly incompetent or deluded. So that, for me, is why I was frustrated that we haven't bought a striker in the summer. And to go one more on that, which is why I lost my head when the transfer window in the summer shut. We bought Sterling on deadline day and I tapped out the season. And everyone told me I was an idiot. Oh, you're going too soon. At least see how it pans out. Well, it pans out like I knew it would. Winning nothing again. Raheem Sterling has been a massive dud, bro. And I knew he would be. Why are we trying to back up this Raheem Sterling stuff? Right at the start, I said, oh, that's an absolute shit. Oh, it's about a 7 out of 10 window, that. It's about a 7 or 8 out of 10 window. We've got a left back. Again, we've got a defensive an upgrade on Granit Xhaka in Marino and a winger and a backup goalkeeper. Perfect. No, it wasn't perfect, was it? Because the backup goalkeeper has played half of a game and looked like he was going to handball it outside of the halfway line. We had Raheem Sterling, who's come in and done absolutely nada, other than a couple of goals here and there in the Carabao Cup against Bolton. And then you've got the scenario against Marino and Calafiori. Well, Calafiori's been crocked, and every time I see him, I'm like, literally, my pants go because he is literally in a like, oh my god, he's gonna. Yeah, I need the toilet. He's going to give the ball away. That's where I'm at with him. He just runs around like headless chicken, this guy. And then we've got Marino, who was bought as an upgraded Xhaka, who's now our striker again. Because all of our attacking 8s go up top, it seems. So yeah. I don't understand how anyone can back up that summer, man.
Carlito's been in the chat for a while having a go. But listen, I'll respond to him. He said, mate, Arteta has made Arsenal an attractive place to come. Players like Rice, Zubomendi and Gyokeres are choosing Arsenal over most clubs. The thing I'll say with this, right, I'm not denying he's improved Arsenal, but when you really break down what you're saying there, Rice came from West Ham, bottom half of the table. Zubomendi plays for mid-table Sociedad. Gyokeres plays in the Portuguese league, no disrespect. Like, Arsene Wenger was even getting Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez and Aubameyang, bro. Like, I want to know how Arsenal can get Rodrygo from Real Madrid. I want to know how we can get Barella out of Inter Milan. That's the level I'm looking for Arsenal to go to. I expect Arsenal to get Declan Rice from West Ham,
Yeah.
Zuba from Sasha. They're not world beaters from world-renowned football clubs. So I give you your credit. It has improved us, but there's still a level we need to go.
Yeah. And what makes me laugh as well is, let's be real, Arsenal are a massively attractive club. Gyokeres, Rice, and Zubamendi, they're not looking at Arsenal going, "Oh, crap club," but at least that Arteta's there. I'll go for him. This isn't like, shall we go to? Shall I go and play for Wigan? Oh, I don't know really. The manager's quite good though. I'll go for the manager. I'll go for the man. This isn't like that. This is Arsenal. This is a huge football club, Curtis. People act like we're West Ham. People act like we're Newcastle. People act like we're Everton. I don't know why people think that we are that level. We are supposed to be the third biggest club in England behind only Liverpool and Manchester United. That's what the trophies state. That's what the global fan base states. We are a huge football club. And Gyokeres should be coming from Sporting Lisbon, who's come from Coventry, going, Arsenal's a good move. Not, don't know how we're going to get Gyokeres from Sporting Lisbon. That's come to Arsenal. We're going to have to, maybe Arteta can try and convince him, because I don't think he's going to want to come and play for little old Arsenal. What are we doing here, man? Seriously.
Come on. Let me get these super chats done and then we'll move on. Trump said, all right, legends, me and my little man stopped going to games up at Newcastle. I've saved 11,400 euros on flights, hotels and tickets. We'll never look back. Football's it's not a working class sport anymore, man. You need big money, man. Marley said Mikel got that credit for uncovering Saliba, Ethan, MLS when really he was forced to use these players, which is the only reason we know how good they are. I will give him some credit for Lewis Skelly and Ethan. I think, he didn't have to play them. He could have forced Zinni and players like that, but I just think Ethan should have played even more. He should have played when Odegaard got injured, really. White Glove said Trossard and Rice, 2 more hammies. I saw that, hamstring tweaks, both of them. So what happens when you don't rotate your squad, White Glove? Highly want a criminal. Sesko is a better fit, great in the air for crosses. I'm not sure. I mean, he is massive, but I think Yoker is better. Babatunde, to all the pro-Arteta or anti-Arteta, one thing is for sure. Arteta will never win the Premiership for Arsenal. Forget it. Same tactics, nothing new. He's definitely got to change. Unknown C, big up C and D question. What do you think Berta will do this summer? Get Arteta's shopping list and back off, or get club signings ready for the next man? I'll let you answer that, Dan. What do you think?
This is the biggest, most interesting scenario now, is how this summer looks from the offset and from outside of just buying players. And I want to answer this question, and I don't know that I can until I see a little bit more. Have the Cronkies appointed Andrea Berta to give Arteta a hand? Or have they appointed Andrea Berta to give him a hand and look towards the future of this football club for the next appointment if Arteta isn't good enough? And that's the question I can't answer yet. I think it's definitely the first bit for sure, but is that added bit of the second part I've mentioned also the case? And I think we'll find that out around about this time next year. Because if we've won something and it's because of Berta's signings, maybe there'll be a dynamic duo together. If you look at the pair of them and think they're not getting on, then it could be the latter. So, it's going to be interesting. It's a great question, man.
Yeah, man. He-Man, do you guys feel selling Martinez has been Arteta's single biggest mistake? I feel he would have won 1, if not 2 Premier Leagues. I always say, for me, Havertz is the biggest mistake he's made. But what do you say?
I agree with that. I also do think that he's got a point. I like Raya. I think David Raya, his last couple of games, he's doing my head in. I just wanted to stay in goal, if I'm honest. However, I do think we should have kept Emi Martinez. I thought it was a steal. £17 million for a World Cup winning goalkeeper is not something you do now. And he kept Leno and then sold him for $3 million. It was a shambles, really. So we should have kept hold of Emi Martinez, if I'm honest. And then we wouldn't have had the Ramsdale Raya debacle. We would have just had a goalkeeper that was good enough and Premier League proven for the best part of 5 years now. So, I think it was a mistake to let him go. I don't know if he would have won us 2 league titles, though.
No. And he loved the club as well, Emmy, man. He was crying when we won the FA Cup. He loved the club. So you wouldn't have had to go round in circles to get a similar level goalkeeper anyway. Alex says relying on winter means you failed in the summer. Absolutely bang
Facts.
on, in my opinion. Yeah. Riku said best Gabby Jesus I saw was at right wing with Ferran Torres at striker. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
I
great.
always saw him as a winger, if I'm honest. I never see him as a number 9.
I've always thought Gabby was a good footballer, you know, but he wasn't what we needed once Aubameyang had gone. He just wasn't the guy. White Glove said can hardly rotate a squad that has no depth. Yeah, whose fault's that? Could have registered 25. He registered 21 or 22, was it? So he could have had 3 or 4 more players. Jay Baz, if Havertz isn't a squad player next season, I swear down. Well, having your highest paid player on the bench is not going to sit well with the owners, I'm sure. But anyway, let's look ahead. In fact, no, just briefly, Liverpool. That game, first half disaster. Second half showed some fight, came back. I actually thought in the last 15 minutes we might have won the game until Marino must have plans this week because that's like he wanted to get sent off. He took out Darwin and said, "Right, I didn't quite catch him. Let me go and double foot Szoboszlai and make sure he sends me off." What the hell was that all about from him?
I thought it was madness, if I'm honest. He had a strange game, didn't he? He had duels that he won, goal that he scored, and then a moment of madness. Look, I didn't understand that, and I actually thought we were the better team before that incident. I think the Trent scenario was very bizarre because that seemed to allow us to get back into the game. I think the booze
Yeah,
and kind of affected him a bit, affected them a
definitely.
bit. I thought they were on the beach, if I'm honest, Curtis. It wasn't like they were going all out. They weren't really interested in massively winning this game. I've seen Liverpool go gung-ho. I was very disturbed at how easy it was for them in the first half to cut us open and to get space. I thought the way that they were attacking was very good from Diaz and from Salah, etc.
Mm.
I thought the goals we conceded were terribly poor defensively. But in the first 10 minutes, we should have been 2 goals up. Saka should have scored with that chance, which was a very well-worked free kick from Odegaard, by the way. And if I'm honest
Yeah.
with you, the second chance we had was Partey and Trossard getting in each other's way. I mean, come on, that's like Sunday League stuff. So for me, there was a real sort of terrible couple of chances that we really fluffed. And then we find ourselves 2-0 down. And I've got to be honest with you, I really thought we were in for a bit of a disaster of an afternoon. I thought it could have been 3, 4s, 5s. And then the second half made me realise it wasn't going to be 3, 4s, 5s, that we will fall back into it. It's one of the better games I've seen from Odegaard. Not that he was outstanding, but certainly
Second
was a
half,
lot better.
yeah.
Second half, Partey as well come into it. Martinelli, I thought was good, if I'm honest with you. And I liked the fact that Martinelli used some of his initiative to kind of ask if he could go through the middle a bit more, because I think that really affected the game in a positive way. And obviously we scored from there, and then we get the shot from Odegaard. And that's what happens when Odegaard shoots. We've seen him shoot now in 2 games against PSG and Liverpool, and he's nearly scored in both. So this is why he needs to shoot more. His decision-making needs to improve. Marino gets the equaliser. And then, if I'm honest with you, I think Robertson's lucky to stay on the pitch, choking Saka like that. I thought that was crazy. I'm not one to blame referees, but how that's not gone to VAR, I don't know. And then, obviously, when we go down to 10, we're hanging on. Miles Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori both get fouled by Konate and Van Dijk. So there was never going to be a goal from Robertson right at the end. We take the point, and then we move to Newcastle and Southampton now. We've got to win both of them, really, if we want to secure second.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. I think Newcastle at home's a bit of a shootout for second. If we lose that, they go above us. And then maybe we finish third, which wouldn't be a good look. But, you know, it's second, third, fourth, kind of all the same to me, to be honest. But I would rather we won our last 2 and got second. Interesting. It's one of the stories I was going to talk about anyway, but there's a bit more of an angle to it coming out. So just looking at transfers is Rodrygo, who obviously we've spoken about a number of times. This Edu Burgos, who I know for a fact, by the way, that Ben Jacobs has said before that this guy is pretty reliable when it comes to South America. But he said that Arsenal is one of the clubs that has shown the most interest in Rodrygo. The Gunners are monitoring his situation heading into the summer. Informal contacts, nothing firm yet. And I don't know if you saw the story this morning about Rodrygo and Marca, that he refused to come off the bench, apparently.
Wow.
Marca said Rodrygo reportedly refused to play in the Clasico on the weekend, would like to leave Real Madrid. He feels he's in the shadow of Bellingham and Mbappe, feels he's not been valued by the club, and is upset by the situation. I mean, we talk about market opportunity. And big up Matt Southern-Gunner. He just made a great point. He was talking about Bergkamp and being that game changer. I don't think in the whole time Arteta's been at the club, we have signed a player that has made me go like, wow, we are going to the next level. The closest one I could say was Declan Rice. Brought a lot of excitement because of the fee. He'd been so good in the Prem. We got him ahead of Man City. But to me, I'm looking Aubameyang, Sanchez, maybe Mesut Ozil. They're the last signings where I was like, you've signed an absolute game changer there. I'm not saying Rodrygo is that, but I think he could potentially be a brilliant left winger for Arsenal.
How much is he going to be, though?
Well, initially it said they would want around 100 million euros, which was 84 million pound. But surely if he's pushing for the move, you can maybe even get him cheaper.
Bruv, let me tell you this. I have been flipping and flopping and flipping and flopping about the left backs that I want at Arsenal. Whether it's Lookman, whether it's Semenyo, whether it's Cunha, who I still think is more of an attacking midfielder. Whether people have mentioned to me Mbuemo, I think is more on the right. Mitoma. People have spoken about Nico Williams, Jamie Gittins. This is the guy. The reason I've never mentioned him is because I didn't think he was available. That's the only reason I did not mention him. I wanted Kvaratskhelia. Yeah. Once he went to PSG, become unavailable. After that, I thought they were all at a similar level. This guy isn't. This guy is clearly... Now, I know he plays on the right for Real Madrid, but he can play left as well. I think he's actually scored quite a few goals from the left-hand side as well. If you look at his highlights and some of his goals this season he scored, they've come from the left-hand side. If he's 100 million euros, even if he was 100 million pounds, you take him. He's a brilliant age. He's an international. He's quality on the ball, fantastic flair. This would be the best Mikel Arteta signing for intent for kind of, wow, that's the ambition. This would be the most ambitious signing if we got him across the line. I think he'd be phenomenal. Now, I don't know why Real Madrid would want to sell him. Having said that, and to caveat that, Alonso's walking in the door. Ancelotti's going. He's going to want to have some fun with some money. You know what Real Madrid are like. They ain't really too happy in giving people money. They want to sign everyone on frees. So I think they're going to want to make one casualty. They're not going to sell Vinny. They're not going to sell Mbappe. Looks like this could be the guy. And I remember speaking to Turkish saying, if we don't get an Isak or Kvaratskhelia at the time, this was a while back, I want Wirtz or Rodrygo. They're one of the two impact ambition signings I want. Wirtz is going to go by Munich, so it has to be this guy for me. And like you say, when's the Ozil or the Alexis Sanchez of Wenger's era, or even Aubameyang is going to walk through the door? Maybe it's this summer, and this would be a phenomenal signing, mate. Absolutely phenomenal signing.
I'm telling you now, if there is any glimmer of this guy leaving, and there's a lot of stories saying he will, they have got to be all over this, because this left-wing market at the moment is a mess. It's an absolute mess. 2 or 3 years ago, left-wing market was amazing because Son and Rashford and all these guys around Europe were performing at a high level in the Prem and around the world. I think this guy is brilliant. And what people have to understand, he's a natural left winger. He's not a right winger. Madrid put him on the right because Vinny was on the left and they rate Vinny higher. He's not playing in his natural position. Not many right-footed right wingers score a lot of goals nowadays because usually you play on the opposite wing so you can cut inside and score, because I know his numbers are not that high at Madrid. But I think this guy is some player. He dribbles well. He can shoot. He's skillful. He's fast. I just think him and Saka on the wing.
Cool.
And you put a proper strike. You get Gyokeres. Gyokeres and him. They're saying Gyokeres 65 million is the release.
That's what 150 million for the pair of them. Let's get it done.
150 million for Rodrygo and Gyokeres. That's when I'm sitting there.
That, man. I'd rather take that than Isak. Real talk. I love Isak. He's number one. I'd take these two over Isak. That is a phenomenal start. If we Zubimendi in, 150 on these two. That's just 200 million. We've instantly improved 3 positions in our first 11. Like, that's what we've done. That's what we need to do, man.
Yeah. They're the levels you need. Imagine that, Rodrygo, Gyokeres and Saka. Because all teams do now, they just say double up on Saka. They ain't got nothing else. Marino, unless he gets a big chance. And Martinelli, I mean, he's inconsistent. If you got Rodrygo, Saka. Listen, I'm not saying we're going to get him because I think a lot of other clubs would go for him as well. You know, I could see maybe Liverpool, maybe Chelsea, maybe Man City. You look at City, Grealish and Doku haven't done anything really on the left. So, you know, they could do that. Yeah, I just see the message. No worries, bro. So, yeah, listen, this would be a phenomenal signing. And you just hope, you know, that Berto he's in Madrid. He'll know about Real Madrid. Just listen, these are levels we got to be looking to. Like you said, we're being linked with Semenyo and players. I don't want no Semenyo, bro. Semenyo's a bench player to me. You bring Semenyo, it's just squad depth. I don't want him starting for Arsenal. So this would be a great signing, man.
I agree. And if there's a chance, we have to get it done. And what would annoy me is if he ends up going elsewhere.
Yeah.
A bit like Kvaratskhelia, because we could have got him. Don't do this again. Don't let Kvaratskhelia and Rodrygo both go elsewhere when you need a left winger. When everyone's screaming we need a left winger. Like it would be. This would really annoy me now if we ended up with Nico Williams instead of Kvaratskhelia or Rodrygo, because I've seen enough of that Nico Williams, mate. I'm sorry, I've not been impressed every time I've watched him. Or with Rodrygo, you know what you're getting, and with Kvaratskhelia or Kvaras, everyone says Kvaratskhelia is the reason that they're through and we're not. Well, Rodrygo, let's be real. I know he was particularly poor when we played them. If he's unhappy, he's got to come. It would be an incredible signing. Incredible.
Yeah, he's a top player, man. 24 years of it. Nah. Listen, he's 24. Nico Williams is 22. There's no way on earth I would take Nico Williams over him. He's so much better than him technically on the ball, so much more game intelligence, so much experience as well from what he's done. I just think he's levels above him. Ned said in 2022, Arsenal passed on the opportunity to sign Kvaratskhelia, opting for Marquinhos amid. I saw that story yesterday. I couldn't believe. I didn't know how true it was. This was before he went to Napoli, apparently. But yeah,
that better not be true. I'll tell you that now.
Remember, Edu cancelled the Jude Bellingham deal from Birmingham City as well. You know, he said 15 million was too much for him. Alberto said we have a good relationship with Madrid. Well, what you sort of do, and no one's going to want to hear this, what I'm going to say, but what you do is you say, look, you look after us with Rodrygo. If worst case scenario in 2 years, Saliba's not happy, or we'll make it a little bit easier for you. You know, if Saliba's gonna go, maybe we reduce the price. That's how business works, isn't it? You give us Rodrygo for 65 million. If Saliba's not happy in a year, we'll give you a bit of a discount on him. That's how you've got to work with these clubs.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though people won't want to hear that. But listen, what's your thoughts on this defender? Because this story again is it Huysen or Hausen? I don't know. I thought Huysen was Chinese restaurant duck wraps or something. You know what I mean?
Huysen duck is what I know, but it's Hausen, I think. Dean Hausen.
Is it Hausen? Oh, I call him Hausen then. Yeah, I don't want to. But Pletty Gold saying that Arsenal and Liverpool are front runners to sign Dean Howson, while Real Madrid also remain keen. A decision on the player's future is expected. 50 million release clause can be paid in 3 installments. And we know we love a buy now, pay later deal as well. And it's funny because a lot of people were saying he didn't celebrate properly when he scored against Arsenal. Though I think he done some tiger thing or something. But again, I mean, 50 million for a centre back this summer. Is that really where it feels like too much money for a position that we're not desperate for? We do need maybe a backup right-sided centre back, but do we need to spend 50 million on that position? And you know, I saw judges saying that he thinks there'll be a casualty this summer if we go big, and I've seen a lot of other people saying that Gabriel to Saudi could be on the agenda again. But what's your thoughts on this deal? Because I wasn't that convinced by him when I saw Arsenal play them.
No, I don't know if this happens. The reason I don't know is not because we don't need him, because actually it'd be good cover for Saliba, if I'm honest. We need a right-sided centre-half. I think Harto's the other guy linked. He's left-sided centre-half. I think both of them would be brilliant cover for Gabriel and Saliba. Now, we've got to work out what happens with Kivior first. We've also got to look at what happens with Tomiyasu, Zinchenko and Tierney. It could be that there's quite a few unavailable. We've got about 8 or 9 defenders at the moment. We're going to be left with about 7, I think. White, Timber, Tomiyasu, Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, and then Gabriel Saliba are going to be the ones that I think we're left with, which means that we've got cover at fullback, but we don't really have cover for Gabriel or Saliba then, other than Timber or Calafiori shifty. I hate that. So for me, I think we're going to need another centre half. I think we'll get one defender. I don't know if it will be Dean Howson. I do like the fact that he's 50 million release clause because you can get it done. And if it's in 3 installments, Arsenal will be all over that. But I look at the other names there. If Real Madrid are serious, he's going to go there. He's a Spanish international as it stands. He's going to cement that with a move to Real Madrid. They clearly need centre-halves. They've only got Rodrygo and Sensio. Obviously, Militao's had a huge injury. I do think that is probably where he'll end up going. Now, some people will say, no, it's too big a move for him. But I think it's a good option for him to work with those centre-halves and then be some cover and then get into it. If you want, look, you could be cover at Real Madrid or cover at Liverpool or Arsenal, and you're Spanish, you're going to go and be cover at Real Madrid, aren't you? Let's be real.
Yeah.
He's not going to get in the first team for Arsenal ahead of Gabriel and Saliba unless one of them go. I don't think either of them will be allowed to go this summer, personally. Yeah, I do. Kanate and Van Dijk at the moment are looking like they're not going to get anywhere out of this first team. I think that's the partnership they want, unless Kanate goes to Real Madrid, which they're actually speaking about. So I don't know where this guy goes. Newcastle were also interested. I think that would be a really good move for him. He would go and slot next to Sven Botman and have a good partnership with him, I think. That's where I think he should go for up here for football. But for what he knows in his heart, I think Real Madrid is probably where he'll be keen to go. Would you take him? Are you interested in him? Do you like him? I like the look of him, but I don't know enough about how good he is. I know Bournemouth lad was saying to me he thinks they're getting gutted this summer. Gyokeres, Howson, and Semenyo, he believes, will all go. He's really disappointed about all three because he thinks all three of them are quality, and they would be quality. You know, he sort of said all three would be good enough for a top side in the Premier League. You know, and I must say, if I could have one out of Bournemouth, not people might laugh, it is the left back. I think he's quality.
I agree with you. I like Gyokeres.
He's an absolute baller. So he's the one I would take, funny enough, but we've got about 15 left backs. I don't know about this one. I don't know, if I'm honest. I think it's a lot of money, but we'll see.
I think he's a good young player, and I think somebody just put it in the comments. Why Arsenal will be all over it is because if you can split that into, say, 20 million and then 15 and 15 million, for PSR on the books, that's great. You pay 20 million for him now, and then you put it on the back burner for a year. So financially, even though it says 50 for this season, it's going to be like 20 million. So it's a very easy deal to work around. His wages are tiny as well. I'm sure I saw somebody say he's on like less than 30 grand a week, which would be absolute peanuts for Arsenal to get him in. But like you said, if you're going to be a squad player anyway, you go and be a squad player at Real Madrid, not Arsenal. So I don't see how he chooses Arsenal unless maybe he wants to stay in the Premier League. But it just feels like a player that we're probably not going to get. But they're obviously interested in him because of his age, his height, he knows the league, and things like that. So I just think we need to I want to see the main priorities signed first. Do you know what I mean? I want Arsenal to get the striker done early. I suppose it doesn't matter what order you sign them, but I think it will calm the fans down if our first two signings are Howson and Juan Garcia, and we've spent 80 million and we haven't got a striker, we're already going to be going, it's happening again, isn't it?
And Zubimendi, holding midfielder.
Yeah, and then Zubimendi turns up and you're like, we spent like 150 and we still ain't got a striker. So, you know, it's a very project kind of signing, isn't it? And the thing is, with Arsenal, they are going to have to start thinking about what if Saliba doesn't sign that contract, he's only got 2 years left. I genuinely think with Saliba, if he doesn't sign a contract this summer, they will have to try and sell him next summer with a year left. I don't think we can let Saliba do a Trent and say, I'm just going to run it down. Because we did pay money for him. You know, we paid 20 odd million for him.
I think if Gabriel and Saliba don't want to sign this summer, we're going to have to sell them both. People are going to hate that. But I don't want them walking out on a free.
No.
Like if Saudi want Gabriel, you could probably say, well, you can have him next summer. He's not going to sign, but he's going to be 75 million next summer, whatever it is. With Saliba, we're going to have to say, right, Real Madrid, he don't want to sign with us. He's 150 million. Come and get him. And I know people aren't going to like that, but we're going to have to go and buy 2 new centre halves with that 200 million plus that we get for him, because that's how it is. That is how it is. Like, players don't want to sign. You can't let them walk out on a free.
Do you know the only thing I'd say, Dan, with Saliba, I think we're already in a position where the numbers that we want for him, I don't think Madrid would give us anywhere near that for him,
I
because
agree.
they've got him in that thing of like, okay, 2 years, we can wait a year and give you a reduced price next summer. So I reckon next summer, for example, they'd offer us like 50 million quid for him, 50, 60 million with a year, and say, that's the most you're getting. Or they might even sit there and go, we'll just wait 2 years and get him for nothing. Because I've seen a lot of people saying, listen, 100, I don't think Madrid would give us 100 million for Saliba. I just don't think they would. I think they would. They've changed their whole process of buying players now, haven't they? I haven't seen Madrid spend big money for a long time, really, on a transfer fee.
No, well, they do that with Mbappe. Obviously, Bellingham was a lot of money, but they were
Bellingham was,
chasing him
yeah.
for a while. But obviously, Trent's now gone on a free. It wouldn't surprise me if they went for both our centre halves, if I'm honest. They need the centre half pairing, and they're perfect. They're the best in Europe. Like, so Real Madrid could quite easily walk up and go, right, both of you, don't sign. See your time out at Arsenal. Have a nice 2 years. We'll see you in 2026. And then
there's rumours linking him to Canate at Liverpool. I think his contract's running down as well.
I did see that. Yeah, they were talking about him not signing at Liverpool and going on a free there as well. It's crazy, mate.
Honestly, this is what I'm saying. You know, when Madrid are calling your agent, people, it's problems. It's apps. I said about 2 months ago, hey, Saliba's not playing too well. You know, I reckon Madrid. People going, nah, conspiracy theory. I'm telling you now, that Madrid thing plays with people's mind. You know, you don't want to get injured. Your mind's wandering. You're frustrated. They're horrible. They lurk in the background and just wear you down, and then they end up getting you for a reduced price, man. It's crazy.
Yes.
Let me read out these 2 super chats and we'll move on. Tong said, C&D, what do you guys think is the reason for the bad decisions on signings? Is the board blinded by player data or simply incompetence and lack of common sense? Fact is, many things have proved them wrong. What would you say, Dan? Is it Edu? Is it Arteta? Is it the board? Where is it?
Well, apparently it's a we thing, not a him thing. So when you say is Edu and Arteta were very much on the same page. I think there's something that's happened towards the end of their relationship, which is why he's gone, but we're still never going to know that until probably one day in books sometime. Look, I've got to be honest. I think the way that we have done things in the past has been really poor. We've gone for this stat DNA, which shows you how good you are on paper, but it doesn't show you how good you are up here. And the mentality has always been an issue at Arsenal. That's definitely changed now. We've definitely gone for a little bit of both. And I think that Arteta has been very keen on bringing the right sort of mentality into the side, as opposed to just so, you know, the Pogbas and Neymars of this world that are great on paper, but actually have got absolute nutters, or the Mario Balotelli types. Do you know what I mean? So I think that there's definitely been an improvement there. What I will say, though, are the 31 signings that Arteta and Edu have brought in, there's only really 8 or 9 of them that I'm a huge fan of, which means there's over 20 more that are not been great. And I know some of those were backups, but there's not really been any of the goalkeepers I've liked other than both Raya and Ramsdale. There's had a hell of a lot of left backs, and we still really need to play our youth academy to find out which one's best. I think we've had a number of midfielders that have been poor and wingers that have been poor, whether it's Willian or Sterling or Marquinhos. So this summer is massive, and it's why I think that the Cronkies need to now say, you've had your time, you've had 31 players, there's only really 8 or 9 that we rate. So let's get Andrea Berta in now, and he's going to take over that. And I'm happy with that. And do you know what? It should be like that. Arteta should say, I quite like this profile of a player. Go get me one. This is what I want for my team. It shouldn't be, I want this man. I think it should be a joint thing, because Andrea Berta's the expert in this now. Arteta's not.
Do you know what I'm just thinking with what you said there is, like, if we go back to the last 2 top players that we've signed really are Aubameyang and Alexis Sanchez. They said at the end Alexis wasn't popular in the dressing room, a bit of a loner even at the end. And Aubameyang obviously left because of discipline problems, turning up late, gold Lambos and all of that. But they're 2 of the best players we've seen in the last 6 or 7, 8 years at the club. Does Arteta actually have to go, do you know what? Maybe a player is not my kind of profile, but he might get me over a finish line. Because I look at this Arsenal team as a very well-behaved group of players, but I don't think there's enough star quality. Maybe a few players with an ego and a bit of a chip on their shoulder, but I think you need them to win titles. I mean, we got Henry and Bergkamp behind us. Henry apparently was a nightmare to get on with at Arsenal because he was so demanding.
You need that in your team, man. You need a little bit of that. You need some of the moments players in your team. Some of them are going to be arrogant. Some of them are going to be hard to get on with. I know Lauren and Henri were going mental at each other once on the pitch, going absolutely mad. And they were, they've had a big fallout. They don't get on now. They went invincible that year.
Yeah.
It does not matter when people do not get on. I know Roy Keane said him and Peter Schmeichel weren't the best of mates, but they won everything together.
They had a fight, didn't they?
They had a big fight, yeah? So I don't know why it's such a big, we're all mates, we're all huddled together. Come on, man, just win. Get together and win. I've worked with people all my life that I don't particularly go out and have drinks with and think to be best mates. I will say I'm quite a chilled out guy. I don't really fall out with people. However, there's been people that I would say I've get on with better than others. I still worked with them. We still did the job. You know, even in this game, there's people that we really get on with, like us two. There's people that we chat to. I was like, we get on with them. You get on with your day. You get on with what you do, right? It's none of this, he's particularly toxic in the dressing room. Or is he winning? You know, if Sanchez was toxic in the dressing room, give me some more toxicity because he was the best player in the Emirates era that I've seen, bruv. Yeah? So, look, not everyone's going to be like Bukayo Saka. He's a rare breed. You know, he's the most likeable man in football. He's the only Arsenal player of that ilk, that quality that I see that everybody unanimously likes. I remember everybody hating Henry. They love him now. He's an icon, but they hated him at the time. We hated Cristiano Ronaldo. We look at him now and think, wow, but we're hating him coming up against us. Rooney, likewise. Drogba, likewise. I hated all of them. They all had that little bit of bite in them, Curtis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there, bro. Canadian Gooner said, Morgan Rogers, Gyokeres, Rodrygo wins as a treble. Jesus. Morgan Rogers would be difficult to get.
They'd be fantastic signings. I like the one Man City are linked with now, Reinders. That's the one I'd like.
I'm gutted about that, man. I wanted him at Arsenal as well. White Glove said, Arteta on the Rice injury, it does not look good. I wouldn't play Rice now for the next 2 games. You know, you don't need to risk him. Just
or Timber. Leave Timber as well. Play Ben White and Party now. That's it. Done.
Yeah. Listen, beating Newcastle but injuring some of our key players is worse, in my opinion, than losing to them. You know what I mean? Because you know, imagine starting next season with no Rice and Timber. Just you lot go and book your holidays and chill, man. You've done enough. Right, we're in the last 10 minutes. Dan's got another show on his channel, and we're going to redirect that in the next 10 minutes. So I'm just going to slowly round up. Gyokeres, a lot of talk about Gyokeres. This link came yesterday from Portugal saying that Arsenal are close to reaching an agreement, 65 million with Lisbon for Gyokeres. Apparently, the Gunners met with his agent last Friday and another meeting scheduled after the cup final. Gyokeres is keen on the move. His agents are pleased with the package. I was actually seeing that Sporting Lisbon, if they win this weekend, they'll probably win the league.
Yeah,
they're level on points with Benfica, but I think they're 4 goals clear of them on goal difference, and they're in the cup final the same week against Benfica. So they're saying that the story is Sporting Lisbon want to finish the season, try and win the trophies, then they'll announce that he's going. But whether that's Arsenal or Man United, because they're saying if United win the Europa League, but it looks like United might get Liam Delap, so maybe they'll leave him alone. This signing for me is a no-brainer. I've said all along, if you ain't getting Isak, you've got to get Gyokeres. And we are being heavily linked with him. Do you think this signing will happen? Can we get excited, or is Sesko still lurking in the background somewhere?
Okay, I'm not going to lose my head here, right? And it might be a bit extreme, and some people might think I'm over the top. I will be genuinely devastated if we end up with somebody other than him. I will be genuinely annoyed if it's Sesko, Liam Delap, Hugo Ekitike, Jonathan David, any other names people want to throw at me. I'll be genuinely pissed, bro, if it is not him. Because it's not going to be Isak, which means it has to be this guy. Yeah? If I had to go for another name, it would be Osimhen. But for me, Victor Gyokeres is the absolute must. If he goes to Manchester United, I'll be really devastated. Now, I understand that Ruben Amorim's there. which could be a bit of a nightmare for him, really. Imagine if he loses that Europa League final and then Sporting Lisbon do a double when he leaves. That'd just be an awful season for him, wouldn't it? But, if they do win it, which I hope they do, because obviously I don't want Spurs to win it, I think we could have a problem, and Victor Gyokeres could be interested in that due to Amorim being there. He knows him. But I genuinely believe that Arsenal, in his heart of hearts, is a better fit for him right now than Manchester United, who are sitting in bloody 16th. So for me, I'd be very disappointed if this one doesn't get across the line. And I do think that Andrea Berta has played a massive, massive part in this, because we were massively linked with Sesko. There was zero links with Gyokeres, was there, at all? Until Berta was appointed. So for me, this guy has to come to Arsenal, man. I think it would be the most exciting signing for me would be Gyokeres. Rodrygo, if it happens, which I think is more unlikely to happen than Gyokeres, would be, but I think this guy would be absolutely outstanding. He's worth the risk now. He's a bagsman and he's been doing it for 3 seasons. You have to take a punt on it now. It's not like a 1-season wonder like Darwin Núñez at Benfica. He's a lot of money, but he's worth taking the £65 million for. If we paid that for Havertz, actually, I'd take that back. Actually, it's not a lot of money. Actually, 65 million in this day and age for a striker that's prolific is not. So I think that would be an absolute no-brainer. I'm with you, mate.
Because the thing is, even if Man United win the Europa League and go for him, it's like he's 27 this year. If I was looking at it from his point of view, I'd be saying, can I go to Man United at 27 in the situation that they're in?
Yeah.
It could take years for that rebuild to happen. Amorim's job's already under pressure. I'm seeing Man United fans saying, get rid of him already. So if Arsenal can't convince him to come to us when we're second and they're like 15th, 16th, something's badly wrong. I don't think there's any excuse if Arsenal don't get this deal done. I would take every player's got a risk. He's coming from Portugal, so the 40 goals that he's got there, I expect that to go down when he comes to the Premier League. But even if he ends up with 20 league goals, 25 league goals, we have not had a player score 20 league goals at Arsenal since Arteta's first season. And that was Alba. And that was because he wasn't there the whole season. An Arsenal player doesn't even have 10 league goals this season. Not one Arsenal player's got double figures in the Prem.
Isn't there a stat that says it's like the 1950s since that's happened or something?
Yeah, no one scored double figures at Arsenal this season in the Premier League. And we'll probably score against Southampton, so maybe someone will get over the line. But it's disgraceful. We are desperate for a 20-goal striker. I spent all of last summer saying, sign Ivan Toney. People go, he's not good enough. I go, he'll score 20 goals. I think people have to understand. You look at Marino up front and how well he's done up front. That should tell every Arsenal fan, well, actually, if we've got a good striker up front, a goal scorer, he will score goals in this front line. You don't have to be a world beater to play up front for Arsenal. You just got to be a good goal scorer. And we haven't had one since Oba. So
I'm just looking now. Trossard and Marino are both injured. They're on 8 and 7. Martinelli's on 8. So if he can get 2 goals in the next 2 games, Martinelli will get 10.
Yeah. 10 goals as top goal scorer at Arsenal, bro, is mental. You know what I mean? Henry and them, man, we're getting 30 goals. We're getting 10 goals now. And our numbers are down, man. We got 66 goals in the Prem this season. Last year, we got 91. So even if we get 4 in the next 2 games, we'll be 21 goals down on last season. That is crazy. Do you know what I mean? And 89 points, we're on 68 points. Even if we win both, we're on 74. We're going to be at least 15 points down. And I don't think we'll beat Newcastle. So
it's huge regression, isn't it? I don't know why people aren't saying we haven't regressed. We have regressed. Oh, we've only regressed because of injuries. Oh, I'm so sick of it, man. We've regressed, man. Just accept it.
His press conference, when I read it all yesterday, it was one of the worst that I've ever seen. And he's had some bad ones. This guy's saying, I haven't got enough players. I said, what? Is this guy for real? What do you mean you haven't got enough players? You loaned out about 5 players and then didn't sign anybody. You chose to have a small squad.
Gotta laugh, because that is embarrassing. Crazy. That is embarrassing, that.
Listen, we're gonna round up shortly. We're gonna redirect to you, so I'll give you a bit of time to get ready for that. Just looking ahead. Are you going to Newcastle on Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
What
going
do
to
you think?
Southampton, but I'm going to
Not going to
Newcastle.
Southampton. What do you think? Because the guy I share the season ticket with, he went to Liverpool, and he said at halftime that away end was nasty. He said there was a
Wow.
lot of angry Arsenal fans saying, "Listen, I've come all the way up here. You know what I mean? Rice ain't playing. Timber's on the bench. We're getting smashed." It looked like it was going to end up 4 or 5-0. Obviously, we got away with it. Even though a lot of people are saying I'm not bothered if it's second or third, I think if we get beaten by Newcastle again for the 4th time this season and we're third and it's the last home game of the season, I think that ground will be horrible after that game. I mean, do you think we'll win this game? I mean, Eddie Howe, he seems to have Arteta's number.
I think we'll lose.
Do you?
I think we will lose. I think we will. I think Newcastle are hungry to get second place. And genuinely believe it when I say this, bruv. I think Newcastle should be in a title race next season if they keep their best players and add to it, because they're going to have a mad summer. They haven't been able to spend for 4 windows because of PSR. They're going to go nuts, mate. Anyone thinks Newcastle might get a couple of good players in, they're going to go mad. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they get 5 top quality players in, added to what they've already got, because I don't think anyone's leaving other than the dross they've got. I think they could seriously get to March, April and still mathematically be in a title race. That's actually where I'm at with Newcastle. I think they're that good. I think their midfield is sick, and they got the best striker in the league. They've got a brilliant winger. They are, mate, the quality. So Newcastle were tough. I expect them to win 2-1. We've got no centre forward, my bro. All 4 of them are out. Trossard's injured. Marino's suspended. Martinelli's the only one we've got. We'll have to play him through the middle, and I guess it'll be
No
Saka and
Declan
Sterling
Rice as
either
well.
side.
No
Declan
Rice.
Rice. So I don't know what he'll do there. Will he play Zinchenko? Or will he play Ethan and Ødegaard? That's what I would do. Personally, I'd drop Ødegaard into the 8, have Nwaneri playing in the 10, Sterling and Saka either side of Martinelli, and then Partey in the 6. I don't want to play Sterling. We ain't got anyone else, have we? And then at the back 4 will be the same as it was against Liverpool, and then Raya in goal. That's what I think it will be. So, yeah, I think we'll lose the game 2-1. I think they'll get us at home. I'm not confident at home anymore. I don't think we're going to win any of the home games at the moment, going there, thinking Bournemouth, and how many times are we dropping and going out of competitions at home? It's embarrassing. So, yeah, look, I want to win, but I think Newcastle might have too much for us. I've seen it in the last 3 games that we've played in. We've got comfortably beat, and I expect to be comfortably beat again. So, yeah, I'll go 2-1 Newcastle, man.
Yeah, we're missing a lot of players, like you said, man. No Trossard, no Marino, no Rice, maybe no Timber. The manager said he wasn't fit enough. That midfield it's going to be all over the place. I would like to see Skelly in midfield.
That's a good shout. That's a
Give
really
him
good
a chance, give him a chance and do something different. No, but he probably won't. But yeah, we'll have to see. I hope we can get something out of it. I see a lot of people saying Frimpong to Liverpool. That looks like that's going to happen, don't it?
What a signing that is, by the way. What a signing.
It just shows, don't it? Like, with Arsenal, we turned down players like Yuri Tillemans on a free and ended up years later signing players like Marino, who probably isn't even as good a midfielder as Yuri Tillemans. You know what I mean? When you lose a big player, you've just got to replace them and nail that recruitment.
Tielemans would have been phenomenal for us on a free. I don't know why we didn't do that. I really don't.
Good player, man. I think at the time he would have been perfect for us. Very good on the ball as well. But listen, I think the overriding factor is we have got to nail the recruitment this summer. That's the main thing over everything else. People, big up to everyone locked in. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. I'm going to redirect you to Dan. He's going live in a few minutes. So big up for coming on, bro.
No, come on, bro. Absolute love coming on here. And we'll try and get something done next week as well. And yeah, man, big up to you and big up to everyone in the chat. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, people.
Take care, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll talk more. Take care, everyone. Bless.